All right, Eric Hudson, SwimStrong Dryland. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you, Brett?
I'm good. I'm good. We're up and into this thing, so I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to do this. Listen, tell us about SwimStrong Dryland. You're doing some really good work in the swimming community, and just wanted to learn more about what you guys are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having me on the show because I absolutely love your podcast, and what you do for the swimming community is amazing and benefits so many athletes, coaches, parents, fans around the world, and
Appreciate it.
myself included. So thank you so much
Yep.
for doing this and for having me on here. And as far as SwimStrong goes, so SwimStrong Dryland is a customized dryland program that we do with club swim teams around the United States right now, possibly internationally one day, where we program for every age group on a club team from the 8 and under level all the way
Mm.
up to the 18-year-olds as they get prepared for college. And there's also a nutrition component. We have an amazing nutrition coach, Brittany Miller. I can tell you more about her as well. We do sports psychology education. We do leadership training and character
Wow.
development, and injury prevention. We do all kinds of motivational content, and just a wide array of things that you wouldn't really know necessarily just from looking at our website, but it's much more than just dryland. And there's a lot of people behind the scenes as well. That's a broad overview, and I can dig into whatever you'd like.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. I appreciate the niche that you're in. There's a lot of people that I speak to, and a lot of people that listen to me are always asking me questions in that kind of bracket, that age group bracket before they get to college, and teams kind of hand them off into these bigger programs where there's a lot more structure in terms of going to the weight room and going to the pool. But in the pre stuff, in the build up from when do they start dry land, and how do they progress in dry land, and how do we incorporate that into our programs, and there are so many club teams trying to figure that out, and
Yeah.
there are hundreds of thousands of club swimmers trying to figure all that out as well. So it's great that you're in this niche of swimming itself. What about you, Eric? Tell us about yourself and your background.
Yeah. Well, so I actually didn't grow up as a swim athlete. I played pretty much every sport you can think of: basketball, baseball, football, soccer, tennis. I was an athlete, but swimming wasn't something I was involved in actually until after college. So
Mhm.
I grew up in Carmel, Indiana, which has a great swim program out there, but I
Mhm.
was not a
Yep.
part of that. I heard about them quite often, and I watched the Olympics every 4 years. I loved watching the Olympics, was inspired by many, many different Olympians in the pool. But it wasn't until I went to Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana. I
Mhm.
studied exercise science there. And it was post college when I graduated back in 2012, 11 years ago now. I actually got connected with a swim coach who was looking to start a dryland program. He saw my background, and I was actually working with a different population of athletes at the time. But he wanted to get something started. And I told him, hey, I don't have any experience in this world right now. I said, but something that I am interested in is always learning something new. I
Mhm.
want to make sure that I'm always broadening my horizons and never turning down an opportunity. And I told him, if I'm given this opportunity, I will be all in. There's no halfway with me. I'm either going to
Mhm.
be all in or all out. So I'm going to do my research. I'm going to do my homework. I'm going to make sure I study and learn the sport inside and out,
Mhm.
and give these athletes every opportunity to have a program that gives them an edge over the rest of their competition. And so he gave me an opportunity, which I'm forever grateful for. And so that was 11 years ago. And I thought for sure this will be something short term, like a stepping
Mhm.
stone to something else in the fitness world.
Right.
And I fell in love with the sport, man. I absolutely fell in love with it. It's so unique. There is no sport where you're suspended in water, doing repetitive strokes, thousands of strokes a day, moving straight back and forth, staring
Mhm.
at a black line. It's so unique. And so you can't train a swim athlete like a basketball player or a football player or a baseball
Mhm.
player. And that was something that really made me fall in love with the sport pretty quickly, was just its uniqueness. Because I thought, well, swim athletes deserve a program that's specific to them. And I looked around the club swimming world and thought, well, a lot of people really focus on the football, the basketball, the bigger money
Right.
making soccer, money making sports, and swimming kind of gets the short end of the stick. And I felt like, well, if we can just give our athletes a program that is smart and designed for them as a swim athlete, then, and we have the right mindset, then maybe we can take down people who are even more talented than us simply by working smart and working hard with the right mindset. And so that really attracted me to the sport, and also just the process driven nature of the sport, how every little thing you do matters, right? Like 1/100th of a second might be that difference between
Mm-hmm.
A final, B final, making the Olympic team, missing the Olympic team, getting that cut that you've been trying to go for so long, whatever it is, it's hundredths of a second. And there are so many little details that you can focus on that can get you that hundredth of a second, or you miss that. And so that swimming was in my blood. The more and more I coached it, the more and more I fell in love with it. And I coached it too on deck. So I wasn't just running the dryland program, but I coached the age group athletes and the senior athletes because I wanted to know the sport inside and out. Like I mentioned, I didn't want to do anything with a half effort. And so just a lot of research, a lot of studying, a lot of time spent around the sport, and just honestly, more than anything, loving it. And the best part of it all was seeing, and it still is, seeing kids' faces when they look up at the scoreboard and they do something that either they've been working so hard for so long, or that they didn't even know they could do. It's the best feeling in the world. Like, there is nothing better than getting to be a part of somebody else's journey and helping them to achieve a dream of theirs.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. So needless to say, that was 11 years ago. Now I'm doing this full time. 2018 is when I decided, hey, if I'm going to do this, I want to do this as my only focus, as my passion. I believe that if you love anything and you're willing to work like crazy at it, then you can make a career out of anything you want. And so I decided that I needed to do that with Dryland. And so in 2018, that's when I left a personal training manager job in the fitness industry while still working, doing Dryland, and made Dryland the whole focus. So that's maybe a long-winded answer there, but that's kind of how I got into it, and how SwimStrong started. And this is year 11 here.
Well, it's an awesome story. It's inspirational in terms of just backing yourself and believing in yourself, and then working towards a goal and trying to understand a new sport and really diving into it. I think it's all good. And you've obviously got an entrepreneurial mindset where you wanted to go out on your own and do your own thing and create this business yourself. And it's being very successful now. Where are you guys based right now?
So I live in Miami, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And so my home team, so to speak, is Eagle Aquatics, which you got to hear from them last week. Adam
Yep.
Matarachi and Kaii Winkler were on your podcast, and they did an
Mm-hmm.
awesome job. So that's the one team I work with in person. But the rest of my staff is located all over the place. So Brian McPherson is the one who writes our programming. He's located in Oregon. Sean Workman does our leadership training and character development. He's located in Illinois. Brittany Miller, our nutrition coach, is located in Indiana. Christine Epsky, her identical twin sister, and both of them are my younger sisters, actually. She lives in Indiana as well. And then we have a couple others. Greg Timon, who helps with our implementation with the club teams we work with, lives in Pennsylvania. And Steve Marrero, one of our performance coaches who helps with the plyometric, explosive, and customization aspect of our programming, he lives in New Jersey. And then we have a doctor of physical therapy who we consult with, named Jill Ertl, who lives in Illinois. So we're kind of all over the map here. Everybody we work with is virtual, but I do have a home team, so to speak, in Eagle Aquatics here in Miami, because I still really enjoy being on deck.
I like that idea of building kind of a comprehensive team around this, and that's kind of what we're seeing again at the collegiate level. You're putting people around these athletes to be the best athletes they can be at the collegiate side, but we haven't really addressed that, all the way up through the club swimming side. And a lot of questions come up with that, and I'm going to dig into those as well. But it's pretty cool that you just so happen to be working with kind of the hottest swimmer in the country right now, in Kaii Winkler, and what he's doing. Can you give us some specific things of kind of where you started with him and where he's at now, and how he's incorporating those into his program with Adam?
Yeah, absolutely. Kaii is amazing. And so is Adam, one of the best coaches I've ever worked with. I think something that I'll go kind of two sides here with Coach Adam. Something that he does so well is his attention to detail.
Right.
You're not gonna get away with cutting corners on Eagle Aquatics. Everything is done just really well, and he's always going to be coaching you. He's always going to be giving you feedback. He has specific standards that if you want to be on the team, he lets you know them from the beginning. And it's not like, a lot of times people wonder, like with Eagle Aquatics, we have like Kaii Winkler. We also, Erika Pelaez, one of the fastest 15-16s in the country. She's the #1 recruit in the 2024 class. We have Joya Palsano is the fastest 13-14 in the nation in a couple of events right now. Penelope Lopez Casula in the 11-12. She's the fastest 11-year-old in history, I believe, going to 23.6 in her 50 free. So it's not like it's just like this. There's one. It's a system that he set up to be really successful and develop people the right way from the 8 and under level all the way up till they go to college and then keep getting better once they go to college. We don't want them to peak early. So you'll hear names like Kaii, but then there's other people too that people don't even know are there. And then there's so many other amazing athletes on the team as well. Kai's older brother Finn has had some incredible progress over the past couple of years, and just so many. I mean, I could name everyone we work with on the team. So, but just to all that to say, like his attention to detail and system that he set up is really incredible, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. And part of why I wanted to have them as my home club when I moved out to Miami was because of that mindset. And but Kaii specifically, I was able to start working with him as a young age grouper. He was either 12 or 13 when we started working together. I can't remember the exact age, but this is going into year 5 now of working with Kaii. And to see, honestly, over the last 4 or 5 years, his mindset shift to, he was always a talented swimmer, but he really took off in the last 2-3 years because he had a mindset shift where he started to believe in himself more than we believed in him. Like, he started to believe the things we had been telling him that we thought he was capable of, and he just took it upon himself, and he's really owned his swimming career. And so seeing him develop now, he just had his birthday yesterday, actually. And so happy birthday, Kaii, belated. Now in that 17-18 age group for the first time. But he, I would really say his mindset is something that impresses me. He doesn't miss a practice. He doesn't miss a workout. I mentioned yesterday was his birthday, and I thought, well, he's probably not going to be, he wasn't coming to practice that day, rightfully so, to take a day off, celebrate his birthday. And he asked me for the workout so he can get it done before he goes out for his birthday. So like, that's just the type of mindset that he has. Is, I'm not going to miss a workout in the water or out of the water. And when I'm there, I'm going to give it everything I have, because I have these goals that if I say that I want them, my actions need to line up with that. And it's been inspiring to watch him. It's a privilege to be a part of his journey. He's the one doing all the work. And it's honestly just a blessing to get to coach him and really consider him to be family along with everyone I get to work with. So,
all right. So that's the big picture of the success you're having at one particular team, which could be a snapshot for any team to say, hey, we're having this success here. We've set up these systems. You can kind of go and, cut and paste it somewhere else and have the similar success with a similar system. So let's get down to the nitty gritty then of like, what is the system? Maybe on a weekly basis, maybe over the course of a season. What have you done when you come in and you create these systems with Coach Adam and setting up these pathways for growth and strength gains and flexibility gains and mental gains and all these sorts of things that you want to see these kids progress in?
Yeah.
Give me specifics.
Yeah, absolutely. From a dryland perspective or swimming or both?
Let's go with the dryland, because it's in the name. So we'll go with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So from the dryland perspective, so when kids are 8 and under, they should be training. I think this is a misconception that people have that, oh, we don't want to train athletes too young. We want to be careful because we might stunt their growth, right? I'm sure you've probably heard that before. And it's just not true.
So you're saying we're 8 and under should be doing some form of dryland. That's what you're saying?
Yes, sir. Okay. 8 and unders should be. You can start when you're 5 years old, 6 years old. Whenever you get into the sport, you should start training. And the reason that people have that misconception, I think, is because if you train incorrectly, right? If you do a program that is dumb, like doesn't make sense, or is like dangerous for a young athlete to do,
Right.
then yeah, you're gonna risk injury. You're gonna
Like an
risk
8-year-old should not be lifting weights.
right. You're right. You want to make sure that you're not doing anything that's doing something that their body is not prepared for. So when
Right.
we're talking about 8 and under dry land, we're talking about body weight movements, a lot of mobility work, understanding movement patterns, gaining core strength, understanding body position, developing a mind body connection, and having a lot of fun with it, right? Like you should always have fun with the sport, but if you're 12 and under, there should be competitions, there should be games, there should be things that you do that are always fun in your dry land, just like in the water, so that they really enjoy it and build some confidence.
So it's like a PE class. You're basically just incorporating some athleticism into their programs, into their swim programs, right?
Yeah, it's like long-term athletic development is what
Mhm.
we're focused on. So
Okay.
when you're 8 and under, 10 and under, 12 and under, it is a developmental progression that you should
Mhm.
be able to, just like in a swim team, every year, typically people do move ups if you are
Right.
ready for the
Right.
next. Dryland should be the same way, right? Our
Right.
8 and under dryland program should prepare you for the 9-10 dryland, should prepare you for the 11-12, the pre-senior, senior national, however your team is divided up. But yeah, you want a general base of athleticism. And
Mhm.
if you think about it, I think it's really interesting. You'll hear the same people that say things like, "Oh, you don't want to train young athletes." Well, watch an 8-year-old do butterfly. Watch an 8-year-old do a 50
Yeah.
butterfly, 100
Yeah.
butterfly. It's usually not that pretty, and
Mhm.
that looks dangerous, right? So if
Mhm.
we're going to ask them to do that in the water, we need to
Right.
give them the tools on land to be able to execute what you as the coach are
Mhm.
asking them to execute.
Yeah.
And so it's a nice thing when you have an 8, 9, 10-year-old who has the strength and the coordination and the mind body connection to be able to properly execute butterfly for 50,
Right.
100, whatever it is that they're racing. So
Yeah.
that's like the base level there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That
And
makes sense.
and then moving on to 13, 14 or pre-senior, I know that the age groups are different for every team, but moving on to that pre-senior level, you start to take it a little bit more seriously at that point. You start to incorporate a little bit more complexity to the movements. The foundations that you've built will really make a big difference. You might not even, I would say for 10 and under athletes, even if you get 1 or 2 workouts a weekend for 15 minutes and you learn 1 or 2 base movements in each of those
Mhm.
workouts,
Right.
I mean, a couple years down the road, you're going to have athleticism that you didn't even realize you gained over that
Mhm.
period of time.
Mhm.
And so then the swim coach spends less time having to correct things that you're unable to do or trying to help you in ways that you've fallen behind as an athlete. And they can just focus on your technique in the water, right? So
Mhm.
we focus on the technique and the dryland side of things. That's number one always. And then we progress that way. And that allows the swim coach to do a whole lot more with their athlete in the water. So you jump to that pre-senior level, the intensity starts to pick up a little bit. And then you get to that senior national college prep level, and the workouts change significantly for them as well. And I can dive into whatever you'd like there, but that's a overview of kind of the long-term progression.
How much equipment does a team need, and how much access to facilities do they need as they start in that progression? So, from the 8 and unders, in terms of equipment, it sounds like very little. There's a lot of body weight, kind of movement type actions, but all the way up to the senior level. In
Yeah.
terms of equipment, how does it progress?
That's a great question. You can have, so we'll work with teams who have absolutely no equipment to teams who have entire gyms that they can work with. So
Mm,
any of those are fine. We'll maximize the time, the space, the equipment that you have. That's our job, is to customize it and say, hey, here's what you
right.
have. Here's how can we get the most out of this.
Hmm.
So any setup is fine, but we will give an equipment list for teams to, hey, over time, if you can build this equipment up, then we'll
Right.
be able to do more and more with your program and have more progressions for your older athletes. And
Hmm.
so simple, but like, yeah, the 12 and under, 10 and under, 8 and under, mostly body weight. They may use some resistance bands. They may use some medicine balls, things like that. As they get older, we'll start to incorporate dumbbells, some trap bars. If you have access to that at your facility, you will use um, things like that add resistance. Pull-up bars, nice to have on a pool
Hmm.
deck if you have those, and you don't even have, at Eagle Aquatics, we don't have pull-up bars. We have bars that are makeshift pull-up bars, right? Like you can find equipment all over, like a playground or whatever. Right. You can get creative with your equipment. You don't have to have the fanciest stuff to really have a great dryland program. And but that's the cool thing about Brian, who does our programming. I call him the guru because he's always researching, studying, learning, so that we can give our athletes the best programming at each level. And he got his master's in exercise physiology from Louisville University and had the privilege of working with their swim team for a couple of years, and then Lindenwood University for a couple of years as well. And so he has that college background as well as the education, and he's constantly researching to figure out, based on every team setup, what's the best, the most optimal setup, that programming that we can give them to get the results that we're looking for. And minimum, this is pretty cool, each day a minimum requirement for him in his 8-hour days is 2 hours of research, so that we're always learning, always getting better. I just feel like if we ever get complacent and think we have it figured out, that's when you get into trouble.
There's two kind of real mentalities that we have to fight in age group swimming, particularly that I've found, and I've never been an age group coach. I've just been around it, and I've grown up in it. Probably a few years back now, but the mentality hasn't changed that much. And it is these two things primarily. It's we don't need strength training in swimming at this level right now. It's just we can do it all in the pool, or one of the swim coaches can handle a little bit of that, right? Like just a little bit on the side or something like that. But it's just an add-on. We don't really need it. Or the other mentality is just grab anybody to help us with this, and somebody with like a football mentality where you're going to come in and just get as strong as you can or whatever it is. And so like there's no one with real understanding of swimming. It's not a specialization. It's not a hand-in-hand partnership with the swim coach. And it seems like that's what you have down in Florida with Adam and his team. It seems like there's this synergy between the two, of like the dryland and the pool working together, progressions in the pool and on the land. And it seems like everybody's on a set plan as they go up through the age group of like, here's what you do here, here's what you do here. And it's a natural progression, but it's working within the structure of the swim team as well. So it all works together. So is that common, what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think that's really common, even at the college level. And I mean, you could probably speak to this as well, having coached at Auburn, and I'd be curious to hear your experiences. I know it's different at every program. There's some D1 programs who do it really well and have someone focused on the swimming aspect. And then there's some even, big programs that, it's a someone doing the programming who's also in charge of the football and the basketball team. Right. And a lot of times the swim team gets leftovers, unfortunately.
Right.
Because the other sports make the money, and the other sports are what they're most excited about a lot of times. So you need someone who's knowledgeable in the sport, has researched the sport, and loves the sport, I think, most out of it. But so you see that even at the college level, but especially at the club level. Like, a lot of coaches will go based off of, well, this is what I did when I was a swimmer. And they just try to kind of plug that in because for them, I see that a lot. And good intentions. There's like, I understand the thought process. And then there's people who say, it doesn't really matter what we do. Let's just hire somebody in the strength world to do something to help get our kids stronger. Whatever it might be, throw them into a, certain gym or whatever, and hope for the best results. But if you really want to maximize what you're doing, you need people who that's all they do, right? They're experts in the field, and they're focused on, even myself, I'm not doing all of it. I'm one very small part of, the puzzle with SwimStrong. And I think the best coaches in the world realize I can't do it all by myself. If I want my team, my athletes to be the best they can be, we need people who are the best at what they do, working together in a collaborative effort to be successful. And so, and that's what we have. That's why I love working with the teams we do with SwimStrong. And I mean, there's so many that I could name, but even for example, Crow Canyon Sharks out in California, Coach Joe Natina, amazing guy. really, really strong guy, really well versed in dryland, has the background. He brought us on because he realized I want to focus 100% of my attention on the swimming. I know I could do a great job with the dryland, but I know that you guys could do it even better. And if we work together, we can really maximize what we're doing out here. And, the same.
Right.
And so I just really appreciate coaches who have that mindset. And that's everybody that we work with. And that's what we're looking for when we're trying to partner with teams, is coaches who want the best for their athletes, don't have the ego. And we're here to serve them. Like, our goal is to serve their season plan. They tell us the season plan, when their championship meets are, what they're focusing on. And we serve them, and they give us feedback, and we meet with them regularly because it's their team and it's their plan. And so I think why maybe a lot of dryland or strength and conditioning programs, or people might turn coaches off, is that they say, hey, this is the way that we're going to do things, and you should change this and you should change that. And that's not how it should be. The swim coaches know better than anyone what they want their season plan to look like and what the setup and structure should be. So it's our job to serve, play in the background, and give them a program that will help amplify the results that they're going to get in the pool. And yeah.
I love that you guys are covering all the bases too. So you're looking at the strength and conditioning dryland, you're looking at the mental side, you're looking at the nutrition side. Is it kind of an a la carte where you can pick and choose what you want, or is this kind of an all-encompassing, hey, this is what we offer, and it's kind of an all-in type situation where you work with everybody on our team to improve your own team? Is it the way it's set up?
That's a great question too. Yeah, we are all inclusive. So it's all or nothing. It's not really an a la carte thing. And the reason that we set it up that way is because we believe you're going to have maximum success when you're doing all of these things. Right. When you start to pick and choose. So I think that we would like the dryland, but nutrition and wellness, we don't really want to focus on that or mind. So like, we want to work with people who want the best results. And so we're going to put all of that together and give you everything that's going to give you the best results. And we're not going to hold back. So that's really,
yeah, that makes sense. So then in each one of those areas, how do you interact with the team? So you've got nutritionist who comes in and does her bit or his bit, whatever it is. And then you've got your mental side. So how does each piece line up within the weekly structure?
Yeah. So several different ways, and it's customized to each team in some regard, depending on questions that they have or certain needs of the team. If they make certain requests or ask us to speak about certain topics, or even if individual families have questions that they want to reach out and ask us about. But the setup for nutrition, for example, Brittany, who does our nutrition program on our website, she puts some amazing content on there every month. She has a new curriculum that she comes out with, all based on, a lot of times, just from questions we'll hear from athletes, coaches, parents, things that come up that kids want to know about. Like, what should I eat when I'm at a swim meet? What type of fuel should I have the morning of a swim meet? How do I get, what's nutrition for better sleep? What are things that I can do in between prelims and finals to prepare myself to swim at my best? How do I read labels? We have grocery lists for parents. We have all kinds of different articles, downloads, documents, recipes for athletes, parents, and coaches to access. So those are always readily available. And then we'll also do Zoom webinars. So every month for the whole SwimStrong program, we'll do Zoom webinars, educating around the nutrition and wellness content, educating around sports psychology, which is more my wheelhouse, educating around the training, which might be Brian or Greg or Steve, or even a leadership or a character seminar. And so a lot of Zoom. We'll do a lot of social media content on our Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, YouTube. We'll put content out there because we know a lot of people are on social media. And so we use those outlets, Zoom, social media, our website, and just people asking us questions to educate and inspire. Like, that's, if I could use two words that we're always trying to do with our social media and everything that we have out there, is to educate and inspire. And if we can do that, then I think that we're accomplishing our mission. And from the leadership perspective, Sean Workman, he's a former Virginia Tech swim and dive grad, and amazing guy. And he does the leadership and character development and the teams that we work with they have different leadership groups where the coaches and athletes can vote on or pick their leaders. And Sean will go over some type of leadership content and give them actual action items to implement on the pool deck to help develop a strong team culture.
Right.
And the teams that we work with, they're already doing that. This is just another voice speaking into their athletes and coaching staff to really help make a difference and create an athlete-driven culture. Like that's really the goal. One where the athletes are the ones calling each other out if they're, resting on the wall during a main set or going to the bathroom in the middle of a set, and they can hold each other accountable or pick each other up, encourage each other, cheer for each other at swim meets. I'm sure you've seen this, but the teams that, the athletes really take the coach's values and mindset upon themselves and own it, versus where the coach is always, pulling teeth to try and get kids to work hard and encourage each other and cheer for each other. There's a big difference in how fun it is to be a part of an athlete-driven team and how successful an athlete-driven culture is. So that's what we're trying to create. And I think, and he does that full time. Like that's his full-time job, is leadership and character development. And we believe that focusing on the person is a whole lot more important than anything else. Like, who they are as a person is much more than just a swimmer, right? Like there's so much more to life. Now that's really important, obviously, but we believe if you focus on character first and growing as a person, you're going to do all the little things right that turn you into a phenomenal swim athlete. That'll be a byproduct of being a phenomenal person. But that's our number one focus, if I'm being honest, is making an impact on their lives, not just.
I love this for many reasons, but especially as a former college coach, like we would get athletes in all the time and feel like we were just starting from scratch, like from base level, trying to do all the things that you're doing with kids from the age of 8 on, right? Like if we had a system where these kids were developed the way that you're developing them, I believe that we'd have so much more success collegiately. Like a lot of the times, they would come in and have no understanding of nutrition. They'd have no understanding of character development and how they, can be part of a team, or just an awareness of basic strength and conditioning exercises, things like that. It was always like we were starting from scratch. And this is with 18, 19-year-olds, it was like, it was almost like they had to go through a season or two of failure to finally get it. And then by their junior, senior years, they were figuring it out, So this to me kind of just gives everybody a massive jump start into where they could potentially be in college. And then finally coming in freshman year and just having an outstanding freshman year and not having to write that off as a learning curve kind of thing. So I love all this. How far off do you think you are from going international with this?
That is a great question. We have been actually talking about that over the last couple of weeks as to what that could look like. We've had teams from a lot of different countries reaching out. And so we've been actually talking behind the scenes about what that would look like to move it to an international scale. We were focused on, for the last 5 years, building the obviously USA swimming base and having, everything, all the systems set up and running smoothly. And now we're looking at what could that next step be. And that's something that's on our radar in the present moment. So it could be soon. Yeah.
I love it. All right, man. I appreciate it. This has been fun learning about you and your program. I want people to know you're not paying me for this. This is not a paid advertisement. I just think you're doing fantastic work. I wanted to get you on the program because I love people that are making swimming better. I love people that are just out there doing the thing. And I didn't know anything about them until all of a sudden something that they're doing great, kind of someone shines a light on it. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of attention through Kaii and the success that he's having, Adam. And then all of a sudden that shines a light on what you're doing with them. So it's like, there's good people out there doing good things. And I just wanted to kind of highlight that. So, yeah, congrats on everything that you're doing. How can people get a hold of you?
I appreciate it so much. Thanks for having me on here. People can get a hold of me. They can reach out on any of our social media outlets. It's just at SwimStrong Dryland for Instagram, Facebook, whatever you utilize. Or they can email swimstrongdryland@gmail.com. Pretty simple there, the email, or on our website, swimstrongdryland.com. There's also an inquiry tab if anybody has any questions or wants to connect. But
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome.
thank you so much.
Eric, I love it, man. I love what you're doing. Keep it up, and hopefully it explodes, and hopefully you hire another 50 people to help you out doing this thing, man, because I think it's good stuff. All right.
Well, thank you so much. And the feeling is mutual. Continue to do what you're doing. Thank you for everything you're doing for the swim community. It's absolutely amazing. And you're making a difference in so many people's lives. So incredibly grateful. I know a lot of other people would say the same.
I appreciate it, Eric. Thanks, man. All right. Good luck. Take
Thank
care.
you. Have a good one.